Hey there! Ready for a deep dive into something truly mind-bending? The wild connection between process metaphysics and the future of AI. Buckle up because things are about to get philosophical. Now, you sent over these awesome excerpts from Artificial Fluency Dash. Don't worry, we'll unpack that beast, and trust me, it's worth it. We're talking about stuff that could reshape how we think about thinking itself. Okay, so picture this. We look around and we see things, right? A coffee mug, a tree, a gun. Even our thoughts feel like separate things sometimes. But what if that's only half the story? Enter process metaphysics, some set of fixed things. It wants us to see the world as verbs, actions, changes, constant becoming. It's like that Heraclitus quote, no man ever steps in the same river twice. The river looks like one thing, but it's always flowing, always changing. That's process metaphysics in a nutshell.
And what's truly fascinating is that this river analogy applies so much more than we realize. Think about our brains, AI, even language itself. They're not static things, but constantly evolving processes. And this shift in perspective, from nouns to verbs, from things to processes, has huge implications for how we understand and build intelligence, especially artificial intelligence. See, if we're trying to create AI based on this flawed idea that intelligence is about recognizing static things, when in reality, it's about understanding dynamic relationships, can we really be surprised if we hit a wall? Imagine, instead, building AI that doesn't just categorize objects, but understands the dynamic relationships between them, how actions shape situations, how contexts shift meaning. That's the kind of deeper understanding process metaphysics pushes us towards.
Okay, wow, that's already blowing my mind. So, if our traditional view of the world, regard, focused on things, is holding us back, could changing how we talk, how we use language, actually help? Because this is where it gets even wilder, Dale. The source dives into how our noun-centric language might actually be limiting our understanding of intelligence. It's like our language is hardwired for things. Think about it. We have countless ways to turn verbs and adjectives into nouns. We transform something, and it becomes a transformation. But we don't usually turn nouns back into verbs as easily, and it gets even more radical. The source talks about this physicist, David Bohm, who was convinced that our noun-heavy language was limiting our ability to understand thought itself. So he created a whole new language called Rio mode, Greget, designed specifically to describe the fluid, dynamic nature of thinking, using verbs as the foundation.
What's interesting about Rio mode is not just the new words Bohm invented out, although who doesn't love a good made-up word, it's the way it forces us to think differently about thought as a process, about the relationships between ideas as they unfold over time.
Right, like instead of saying attention, which sounds static, Bohm used the term levate to describe the act of bringing something into focus, emphasizing the active nature of attention.
Exactly. And this shift to a more verb-centric view has huge implications for how we could design AI. Imagine if, instead of just recognizing a chair as a static object, AI could understand the action of sitting, the purpose it serves, how that meaning changes in different contexts.
Wow, okay, so we're talking about AI that doesn't just see the what, but understands the why behind our actions. That's incredible.
Right. And it goes beyond individual actions. Imagine AI that grasps the dynamic flow of a conversation, the nuances of human interaction. That's the kind of deeper understanding that a process-based approach to AI could unlock.
So we've gone from this mind-blowing idea of process metaphysics to rethinking language itself. Now, how does this all connect to building actual, artificially intelligent systems? The source keeps mentioning this idea of artificial fluency, which at first I thought, okay, so AI that can speak smoothly, got it.
Yeah.
But it's way deeper than that, right?
Absolutely. When the source talks about artificial fluency, it's referring to AI that's not just eloquent, but adaptable. They can think on its feet, learn from its mistakes, and thrive in unpredictable situations, just like we do.
Yeah.
It's about building AI that's fluent in the very process of change that defines our world, just like process metaphysics suggests.
That makes so much sense, because if reality is all about constant change, about becoming rather than being, then AI needs to be fluent in that process of becoming, not just stuck with static knowledge.
Precisely. Think about how most AI systems work today. They're great at following pre-programmed rules, but throw a curveball, something unexpected, and they often fall apart. The source uses the example of a chess-playing AI. It might be unbeatable within the confines of the game's rules, but change those rules slightly, and it's game over.
So a process-based AI, on the other hand, would be more adaptable, more resilient, because it wouldn't be rigidly bound to those preset rules, right?
Exactly. It would be able to adjust its thinking as the situation changes, learn from new experiences, and even anticipate future changes. That's the power of artificial fluency.
This is all so incredibly cool. But I have to ask, how do we actually get there? How do we bridge this gap from the AI we have now to this super adaptable, process fluent AI of the future? Well, the source points to something called prompt programming as a possible stepping stone. Now, before we get too deep into the technical weeds, can you give us a quick breakdown of what prompt programming even means in this context? Okay, so prompt programming, break it down for us. What is it, and how does it relate to this whole process-oriented AI we've been discussing?
Sure. In the simplest terms, prompt programming is about breaking down complex tasks into a series of smaller, more manageable questions or instructions that we feed to the AI. It's like guiding the AI's thought process step by step, instead of just giving it a massive set of rules to follow blindly.
So instead of saying, hey, AI, go write a symphony, it's more like, okay, AI, first let's brainstorm some melodies. Now, how about some harmonies? What kind of instruments do you envision like that?
Exactly. It's about engaging in a more interactive, dynamic process with the AI, allowing it to explore different possibilities, learn from feedback, and refine its output along the way.
So how does this connect back to process metaphysics and artificial fluency?
Well, think about it this way. Process metaphysics emphasizes the ever-changing nature of reality, the idea that things are always becoming, always in flux. Prompt programming, in a sense, allows us to mirror that fluidity within AI systems. By breaking down tasks into these smaller interconnected steps, we're essentially teaching AI to think more like a process, to be adaptable, to respond to changes in context.
So instead of programming AI to solve problems in a rigid, predetermined way, we're teaching it to go with the flow, to adapt its approach as new information emerges.
Precisely. And that's a crucial step towards developing what the source calls artificial fluency, AI, that's not just intelligent, but also adaptable, resilient, and capable of navigating the complexities of a constantly changing world.
Wow, this has been an amazing deep dive. We started with this really abstract concept of process metaphysics, and now we're talking about concrete techniques like prompt programming that could actually help us build more flexible, adaptable AI. It's incredible how these seemingly disparate ideas connect. So to wrap things up, we've learned that viewing the world through the lens of process metaphysics could hold the key to unlocking a new era of AI, one that's less about rigid rules and more about fluid, adaptable intelligence. And tools like prompt programming might be the stepping stones we need to get there. The source ends with a really thought-provoking question, and I want to leave you with it today. If our language shapes how we think, could embracing a more verb-centric language, one that emphasizes processes over static things, actually make us more intelligent? It's a question worth pondering, and I encourage you to check out the full Artificial Fluency-Metaphysics What if you're interested in exploring further. But for now, keep those questions coming, and we'll catch you on our next deep dive.